Hello there. This is our midweek devotional, and here we are, a good over 2 months into this pandemic. And I went back today and was listening to one of the very first, second maybe midweek devotional I did that was called Pandemic. It was on March 25th, so it's been a couple months since then. And all this stuff was brand new then. And I was sharing some really, I think, really good thoughts to give us God's perspective on what kind of chapter of life we were finding ourselves into at that time. Um, we're not out of it yet, but we've come a long ways, and we're trying to talk about reopening, and that's providing some new challenges for us. And I don't know, we all stand at different comfort levels as far as social distancing goes. There's some people that are just out and about and it doesn't really matter anymore. There's some people that are still staying at home. There are others that go out and in mask or just to be outdoors with some distance in people. I mean, we've all got different levels of comfort level going on there. And that's beside the point. You know, we all do what we feel like we need to do, but you know, we're still dealing with challenges of trying to understand how to live our daily lives and how to live in unity and peace, especially with people that disagree or with governments, different government agencies saying different things. And there's just a lot of turmoil going on. And we find ourselves caught in the middle of it, almost kind of like a kid whose parents are disagreeing on what the kid's allowed to do or not allowed to do. And we find that a very disturbing place to be in. Um, Hindsight's going to be 2020 when we get through this to clear the other side. It'll be interesting the things that we think and say about this chapter of our lives with the COVID. Even now, we can look back a couple months and I can say things about a couple months ago that I didn't understand back then, when everything was brand new. The point I'm going with all this is that I believe that through all that we're going through, I have a saying on my wall. One of the quotes is, something is going to grow through all of this, and it's going to be you. And I think we can probably all look back at some ways that we've grown in the last couple months. We've been challenged and pushed, and anytime that pressure is on, it can either send us down or it can send us up. Hopefully it's sending us up, that we are becoming better people and we're thinking through a lot of issues and a lot of values and principles that define our lives. When we're pushed to that, it can bring out some really, really good things. And so I hope that we're really growing through it. And I look forward to more conversations that we can have in person down the road to share with each other. How have we learned? How have we grown? What kind of new thoughts and ideas through this have made us who we are today? Because we're in transition ourselves. And so I think that's a really beautiful, beautiful thing that God is doing. I don't believe he caused the COVID virus. I don't think that all of the terrible things going on right now are his doing, but he's always told us that he is going to create beauty out of ashes. And all the ashes around us are creating something new and beautiful. I've come back to Romans chapter 8. Probably one of the best chapters in the whole Bible. It's just got tons of gems and jewels in there that help us understand our faith much better. Towards the very end of the chapter, it says, "Who can separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword?" I'm sure we could add disease or pandemics or social distancing. Are any of these things going to separate us from the love of Christ? And it says, it goes on to say in verse 37, it says, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." And I hope that we're conquerors. I hope that we can come through this in a much better place, even than we were before. That this is something, a season we'll look back on in our lives and go, it was hard. And it was confusing and a lot of bad things happen, but I could tell you some good things that happen. Hopefully, we'll have those stories to pass on for years to come. Obviously, we're going to be talking about this for a long time, whether we want to or not. It's going to be a part of our history and part of who we are as a generation of people, no matter how old you are. You know, COVID has made an impact on our lives. So I just pray that we would all see ourselves as conquerors through all of this. The prayer time I put on yesterday was more upbeat and hopeful. It's like, hey, we're getting through this and we're going to come out ahead. And I just am feeling really upbeat this week and trying to look at the ways that God has been faithful to each of us in so many different ways. So I hope that today you can recount God's faithfulness and his blessings, and that you would see yourselves as conquerors, that we're coming through this in a way that makes us stronger and more faithful and more loving and more true than we ever were before. So thank you, COVID, for that. Have a good rest of the week.